Today, Eric Beimfor and myself, Rob Coakley, are jumping on drafters to do a high rollers draft, $250 entry. I almost won this tournament last year. I was this close, damn CD Lamb. We'll get over it though. We'll survive. We will endure. We will win this tournament this year. I am looking forward to sending Eric Beimfor money. If you're getting in, you might want to jump in now. Let's get right into it.
Three, two, one. Liftoff.
Eric, it's been a while since we've done a show together.
We should go back the other way. Really change. You get some new people in, and they'll think that you're me, and I can get away from the Eric Beimfor stink and onto the like you said the runner up or top 5 finisher in this exact tournament last year. That'd be nice.
We almost did. I ran really well in the high stakes stuff last year. I think we were constructing good high stakes teams. We're in this tournament now. If you're looking to join it, it is 8 out of 12. There's only 4 spots left. So if you want to jump in, I think we should go over the prize pool for this real quick, Eric, and let everyone know that there's only 444 entrants in this, 269 so far. So there is a small chance at overlay in this tournament. We'll see as the week closes, but first place is $25,000. Second is 12.5, 7,500 for third. Really flat, beautiful structure. You get paid all the way up until 74th place in this tournament. I love this tournament. I actually love all the drafters tournaments. I love doing them towards the tail end of the year. You're going to see a lot of drafters content this week on Spike Week as we do some high stakes, chase some overlay maybe in the main tournament. It's drafters. I think if you are still drafting right now, the main place you should be drafting is on drafters personally.
I agree. So just super quick before we double back to this high roller, their main tournament. So this is obviously the high roller NFL basketball championship. Their drafters million best ball championship, which is just a $15 entry, $500,000 to first place. I cannot believe how big the prize pools have gotten on drafters. It's absolutely crazy. But $500K to first, and like that's not even going to get close to filling. So like you said, a great thing to do over the course of the next week is if you got some, maybe you're done with Best Ball Mania or you're just looking for a place to draft, maybe you haven't played before. This is the easiest format to get into for sure. There's no playoff stuff. Just like, dude, go score the most draft 20 players that score the most fantasy points over the course of the year. It's as easy as it gets. Full point PPR. And there's going to be a ton of overlay. So I don't think that it's going to overlay in the high roller. That thing's been filling at a pretty good clip.
That's been filling pretty good.
I imagine that'll fill up, early next week or middle of next week or something like that. But I love the smaller field stuff. And so obviously as this draft goes on, we'll talk a lot about the strategy around, it's not just high stakes. Like if it was high stakes, I think Corinne and I talked about this on the show one time. If just the stakes fluctuated, it doesn't matter. Like that has no bearing on anything. That's just how much people paid to get in it and how big the prize pool would be. It's how big the field is. And in particular, the size of the field on the playoff format stuff is more so relevant to how difficult it is to advance once you make the playoffs. Most of the time on those sites, it is still like DraftKings is always 2 out of 12. Make it like every single one of their tournaments is 2 out of 12 to make it out of the regular season. Looks like we only need one more. Awesome.
One more.
This will be perfect. Perfect timing. And so all it really changes is, how many people you got to beat in the playoffs. In this, it changes, of course, how many people you need to beat as a collective, but there's also only so many teams that like are even going to be built in this tournament, right? Take this divided by 12. That's how many drafts you're going to get in this. It's not very many, by the way. So we're picking second. There's only going to be, let's just, for example, say we take CeeDee Lamb. There's only going to be an X amount of CeeDee Lamb teams. So then how do you differentiate all right, we've assumed that CeeDee Lamb is the nuts in this format. There might be a couple permutations that can win it for you, but now how do we beat not just everybody else in this tournament? How do we build the best CeeDee Lamb team? Are we going to onslaught the Cowboys? That's one of my favorite things to do in smaller field tournaments. Just say, all right, this offense, boom, you are a smash. and like kind of whatever works out around it, I put myself in a good spot if the Cowboys are awesome. And so just a bunch of stuff like that, little things around the edges in this smaller field, higher stakes tournament, and without any playoffs, I think you can really set yourself up pretty well. 1 second.
Yep. Yep. As Eric said, I agree with pretty much all of that. We get the 102 pick in this high roller draft. Not recognizing a lot of the names. I do see Updog is in here. Oh, Dean. Is that Dean Shapelson from Roto Grinders? Is he popping in the high roller with us? We do have some questions in chat. But first, let's say hello to everybody. Hello, Benny. Hello, No Cat Mac. What's going on? Who Hames? Alex saying hit that like button. I agree. And then how many entries are you guys planning to enter into this high roller? So I'll speak for myself where I maxed this tournament last year. I was not able to this year. I wasn't able to do, I say I wasn't able to do as much drafting this year as I did last year, which is true. But then I still look at my entry fees and it is a large number. So I just haven't been able to do everything I want to do. So it's going to be this entry and maybe one more in the high roller for me personally.
You got to cover me. I want CeeDee Lamb. You got to cover me. My dog just literally just puked right next to
Beautiful.
me. So yeah, so perfect timing. I'm going to go take care of that. I vote for CeeDee, but I'll be back before we turn it back around.
Well, we will grab CeeDee Lamb. We will play by the book. If Eric wasn't here, we would be having the CeeDee Lamb Bijan Robinson discussion. I would love to pull Bijan up in one of these drafts, get a little bit of a unique Bijan build in one of these, but I am not going to cry about getting CeeDee Lamb by any means. So we'll start there. I think you're going to see a relatively normal start in this draft. I don't think anyone's going to do anything too crazy. CityWalk Airlines is in the 12 spot. So thanks for joining us in this. So we are firing this cumulative scoring tournament, as we were alluding to earlier on Drafters. Drafters, like I said, tons of content. I think I'm doing a marathon stream on Saturday, which is going to be 12 noon to 12 a.m. Might not sound too crazy. I know you guys have seen people do 24-hour streams. However, the caveat is I have an overnight investigation the night before. So the amount of sleep that I'm going to be having, and I'm usually worn after one of those things. So it's going to be a test of will, a test of strength, if you will, to see how many drafts I can get through in a 12-hour period on Drafters, all Drafters, trying to get a ton of entries into their main tournament. I am excited for it. Yeah, this board is relatively normal. Garrett Wilson gets pulled up to the 8 spot, and Breece Hall goes behind him. But other than that, we do see the Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek, Jefferson, Chase, Amon-Ra, Bijan start, which is relatively normal. So have I ever been touched by a ghost or spirit during one of those? I have. I would have you watch our what is the name of the house in Middleborough? The Oliver House, Middleborough. Look up Hometown Ghost Stories, the Oliver House, if you want to see that particular one. So that did happen one time. But we will not talk about ghosts yet. We will save our ghost talk for when I have to figure out who we're drafting in the 19th round. For now, we are going to talk Drafters Fantasy. We are going to talk about what we're going to do with this CeeDee Lamb pairing in the round 2. I think this is going to be an interesting build for me and Eric, although we do both lean 0 RB for the most part. I have been building a lot of hero RB teams, which clearly we started CeeDee Lamb, so that's a little bit more difficult to do in this tournament. But I do like some of the elite quarterbacks, so we might have to have some discussions around that point when that shows up. Have you is cleaning duty all done, Eric?
Cleaning duty is done. I'm sweaty now, running around the house cleaning up dog vomit. It's that was fun, but it's real hot here, so I think a little upset tum from the billion-degree temps. You've been trying to keep them safe and out of the heat, but I think still a little too hot, a little too muggy.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It's,
I was of course still had the AirPods in, and I was still listening. I think, what do you think about like structurally in this format? I know, like you said, I'm clearly very heavy zero running back, but I do see kind of all angles of it in this particular format. The great thing about zero running back in the large field stuff is you can really just hit the stone cold nuts, like 2 injuries, 3 injuries, run your way. And like, man, you're just lapping the field, and you got CD and whoever right here, Neighbors, right, etc. These guys that are just superstar wide receivers. I still want to target that in this, but like, we're only got to beat 400 people. I'm a little more open-minded to, like I said, not trying to hit the nuts and just trying to play for like, all right, this is Cowboys go ham team, maybe Cowboys and whatever, Chiefs, Cowboys and Seahawks, Cowboys and somebody just go nuts on this team, and then you can build in an anchor running back or something.
right. We can continue this conversation in a second, but we are on the clock. I have a strong feeling that we're going Malik Neighbors with this pick.
That's my guy for sure.
All right, we'll take him. We'll take Neighbors. I think the next pick is where we're going to have a conversation.
When did this open? Do you remember?
I don't remember, to be honest. Somebody told me they won it in July, so it's been open in at least since July.
I'm just wondering what Rashi's ADP was.
I was going to bring that up on coming up. Dude, I'm Kyron on this one.
I'm cool.
personally.
Karen. I mean, aren't you worried? But aren't you worried?
Dude, no.
He's returning punts now.
I'm actually
Go ahead.
forming out a Rams tweet for after this show. I think people are going a little too far with that. I think Kyron in the third is still this crazy value. So I'm hoping he falls more. He obviously would have never have fallen to our next pick.
No.
So I'm fine with getting him. But dude,
But in
we're
the
gonna get
in the $15, if you start to get like 3-4 turn Kyron, now you got a great value and like super unique combinations, because he has never gone, it'll only be the final 25% of teams or whatever that would get. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. Drafters is pretty sharp. People don't overreact too much, and then they do pounce. Rashee Rice never really fell as far as some of the other sites on drafters. The folks are pretty sharp over here. So this one in particular will be a tough contest. That's why I think thinking about the Kyron, like the kind of volatile, not volatile, but the polarizing type players, the Kyron Williams, the Rashee Rices, right? Some of these guys that have kind of moved all over the course of the summer are like really good guys to figure out you could just say I'm fading them, of course, but you also move them around the board, and say, like, that's why Rashee I thought was interesting, because I wanted to know like maybe what his ADP was when this started, right? Because if he's going to stay over here, what did he go? So 33,
32.
right? 32. So if he's going, 32, 33, 34, like for this whole tournament, like there's not going to be a CD Lamb, Rashee Rice team in the whole tournament, assuming that nobody got him at 47, right? 47 or 50. He definitely never went at 71, but 47, right. 50, in that range. Those are talked about some of the strategy stuff, super high level, draft the best players, of course, but like some little tiny things that you can do to be like the only team in this tournament that has like a couple of different things. It's just like, you don't like, both you and I do a lot of crazy things sometimes in the in like BBM and stuff, because we're really trying to play for this crazy outlier outcome. You really only got to do like 1 or 2 things in this tournament, right? Move Rashee to the other side of the board, or move Lamar and Andrews is one I like to move around because they're so stuck on this side of the board. Like, just do that once and you're like, you're good. Your team is set up. You can just draft the best players from then on.
The thing I don't think we talk about enough with the Rashee thing is the board shakeup around it. We talk about how like what it does with the Chiefs. What we forget to talk about, or just like lack talking about when we're doing that, is how sometimes it pushes. I know Lamar just went in this draft, first pick of the 4th round, but it's caused Lamar to fall sometimes. It's caused Hurts to fall sometimes because he's getting pulled up, and now that person doesn't have Mahomes to take, or one of these other guys to take. So I think it's caused a little bit, not a huge shakeup, but it's caused you to do some different things with your Lamar pairings around there and with your Hurts pairings in that range as well. And in some drafts, not every single draft, but something that I've tried to pay attention to as well with the Rashee Rice situation.
Well, it's actually a perfect segue into quarterback. Is such a fascinating kind of, and again in this tournament specifically, a little higher stakes. So generally speaking, the people are staying in their lane a little bit more. So it's good to know. But then like when to dip in, when to push it, right? Like that we have CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott is a quarterback who a lot of times you can like really push. Nobody's really willing to take Dak unstacked. I'm not saying that they should, but they're not willing to. And so you can kind of, but like when do right, like you're playing hopscotch or whatever, or you're jumping rope. Like when do you hop in and be like, all right, like I got to finally pull the trigger on Dak, or when do you say, you know what, let's see, let's put these guys' feet to the fire, because you're only gonna, it's $250, you only get a couple shots at this tournament, you screw it all up because you pushed it a little too much. I think that balancing act with quarterbacks especially is pretty fun in this one.
We're going to be on the clock here in a second. I see a couple of targets that I would like to take here. Going to be interested to see what you want to do. I think we're going to get lucky too, because I'm pretty confident one of the one holes picks is going to be Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, and we obviously don't want Jalen Hurts.
Right.
But he could take, he's clearly not a zero running back guy. So he could take Jacobs, but he also could take McBride. And I'm very high on McBride, so he's probably my choice.
So McBride's one of the two picks I want here. I was going to suggest trying to push him, but we can take McBride, because if we don't get the other guy, it's okay.
And I think, and I'm guessing I know who your other guy is. We'll keep it in our brains for 1 minute to see if it happens. But I am pretty comfortable, like all the guys after in like really, like I'm not saying that there's a teardrop from from McBride to Kincaid and Andrews and stuff, but he is my preference. Yeah. Whereas these wide receivers, I think we like the same guy, but like if we gotta move down to the next couple of wide receivers, I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, and I so Worthy does go. Yeah, that's who I was looking at. I would have been fine going Worthy than Andrews or Kincaid, but this is not something to cry about. Do you like Kirk? Do you want Pickens?
I still like George Pickens.
Let's do Pickens.
I just think in this wide receiver landscape, like we've kind of taken the Arthur Smith and the Steelers disaster thing a little bit too far, specifically as it relates to George Pickens. Like if we were, I know that Drake London, for just use him as an example, was a disaster for the last couple of seasons, but like, I don't know, man. Like, please, Sal, no. What wide receiver ADP is George Pickens? Like 30 something, like we're not even paying. I know it feels like, fifth round, you're like, oh my God, fifth round for this Arthur Smith disaster. It's like, yeah, fifth round, but like how many wide receivers go in front of him? And he's still like, Drake London still had big games. He still had huge targets. It's just, it's not going to be every week, but this is best ball, and we already have 3 wide receivers. We already have 2 superstar wide receivers. Like we're going to be pretty comfortable. I also feel the best. I'm curious what you think about this. I also feel the best about actually later round wide receivers right now.
Yeah.
So I'm doing a lot of. I think Moxie from our Discord called it, and I'm stealing this. Sorry, Mox. But the sandwich build. Meaning I'm still like 0 RBing it, but maybe I don't take Kyron on this team or something. Maybe I take Devonta Smith. But then like I start my running backs a little earlier. I get maybe an elite quarterback and an elite tight end. And I only have maybe 4 wide receivers through 10 rounds. And then like my rounds 13, 14, 15, 16, like all those wide receivers, I'm gobbling those guys up there, as opposed to it used to be, right? Like, and you know me, 6 wide receivers through 7 rounds, like most drafts. And then really just hammer running back. I'm kind of, like I said, sandwiching it a little bit, like pushing my running backs into the middle and having these late round wide receivers as my new late round targets, because running back is just, when Samaje P. Ryan's the talk of the town as a late round running back, I think it dried up a little bit.
And what I can do real quick is to promote the lab that we do every single Tuesday, because if you want to know where that sandwich build originated, that was from me. You would credit Moxie for it.
My fault.
In the lab one Tuesday night. No, Moxie's great. He just has terrible food takes.
Well, yeah, that's true. So do I, but that's okay.
Yeah, but he eats like, I don't know, like I think only cauliflower or something.
I
Something
know.
very boring.
I know. He eats the stuff that I just watched my dog throw up over here next to me.
Yes. um,
Just can we at least make it to the late rounds before we start bringing up all of the guys that we're going to be targeting a little bit later? Let's keep the Malik talk down.
Yeah, let's
here.
relax. I've been grabbing Malik all off season, but we will stop talking about that. I have some guys that I am hoping that fall to us in this particular range coming up. I'm scared about it because I know that we are drafting with sharp people, and I'm not sure it's going to happen. But alas, we can all always hope that we're going to get what we want to get here.
What have you been doing in this range? Looks like well, there's one. He's not going to make it, but there's one guy who I've been really smashing, a non-tight end, kind of in this range that I truly don't understand the price. I just truly don't understand the price. I'm pretty sure we're in agreement on that. But when you take a McBride or a Kelsey or a Laporta or an Andrews, I do like, I really, really like those guys, McBride in particular. But like, then once you get to this range, you're like, damn, Kittle looks good. Damn, Ingram looks good, or in a little bit, Bowers looks good. So what have you been doing here when you have a McBride? This is not going perfectly.
I actually do think that there's a few things we can do here coming up. I really wanted Jaden Reed. I knew it was going to be a tough. He's been my guy all off season. It would have opened up so many things that I want to do. I actually almost floated his name at the George Pickens pick just to be like super wild, to be honest with you.
I like him a lot. Oh, JMO. Hello. Let's see here. Yeah, JSN has risen a lot. JMO has risen a lot. So we are going to get in a little bit of wide receiver trouble if we don't.
Do you like Watson or Coleman here?
I don't like Keon. I'm in for Watson. Set us up for Jordan Love.
Let's do that.
I think we should do that one.
Let's do Watson, and then let's have a big discussion about if we want to take Kyler Murray.
Should we take Kyler, right, or push it to Dak? Because we have Dak and Jordan Love in our back pocket right now,
right?
Which means we could take.
So Dak, I actually don't want to take on this team, and I will explain why after. Why I would prefer to fade Dak on this particular team, but I am willing to push QB if you don't want to get Kyler. If you'd prefer Love, if you want to go.
What is our? Can you scroll down on the board just a second? Doing the math off the top of my head is terrible right now. I think I would take James Conner.
Oh.
I think I would take James Conner. But I'm flexible. I'm just saying I think I would take James Conner and push it at quarterback when we got those guys.
Okay, we'll do it. You've broken my soul by making me select James Conner on a best ball team.
We got an Arizona bet. It's the same thing. We're just still betting on this offense, and now we get. And so here's one thing I will say about James Conner. I've not backed off. I'm into him. I like him a lot more than you do, of course. Shout out Dorito, who another member of the Discord who won the Drafters main $15 tournament last year for $300,000. Big James Conner guy. He's talked me into him a little bit, but he's risen a ton, especially like on Underdog and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I backed off, but I'm being a little more cautious because the rise has been pretty steep over there, and he's a little bit worse on that format. I like him here. I like him here on Drafters. He's really nice. Look, if we're not counting on him to play every single game, and we're not counting on him to play in week 17, just give us as many as we can get, but hang in there for as long as, because he's going to score fantasy points, dude. He's going to score plenty of fantasy points as the workhorse in that backfield. I mean, I was shocked they cut Michael Carter, especially when these coaches, dude, the coach didn't play him in the preseason week 3 and says, well, we didn't need to see anymore. He's done enough. And everybody's thinking like, all right, he made the team. Like, no, he did enough.
He did enough to get his ass out of there.
He's terrible. I was like, that was so deceptive. That was
cold. That was the most cold-hearted thing a coach has ever said.
Yeah, he should have fucking put a cigar in his mouth or something after he said that, because that was badass. But just like all these little, it's like, dude, Trey Benson, he's getting like borderline Kendre Miller treatment, right? If Kendre were healthy, this is how they would speak about Kendre. Not a lot of positives about him. And then it's Amari DiMercado. So like, so long as Connor is healthy, he's going to score plenty of fantasy points. And so again, especially on drafters where, look, if he's hurt for the playoffs, so be it. We're going to have, 5 or 6 other running backs.
Yeah, so he is. So I don't like James Conner in playoff format stuff for multiple reasons, but I am more in on him on the
PPR is good for him. PPR is good for him too.
The reason I don't want Dak on this team, just to go back to that before we get on the board again, since I've already brought it up, I just think that the CD Dak pairing in this particular tournament is going to be like nuclear levels of owned, right? Like, I just think it's going to happen way too much in this particular tournament. If we have to do it, so be it. It's not end of the world level stuff to have a Dak CD pairing, but I would love to pivot off of what everyone else is doing, even if that's our one little pivot for the CD Lamb teams, right? It's huge. We get the big CD Lamb games, but we also get a hell of a season from like, Jordan Love, if that's
Jordan Love, Jaden Daniels, Caleb, something like that. Yeah.
And any
Lawrence,
Yeah.
So I wanted to look. So there's, oh boy, my math skills are getting away from me. What is there? 444 divided by 12 is what? 37. Okay. So there's 37 CD Lamb teams.
Right.
Over under how many have Dak, you think, in this tournament?
25.
Yeah. I was going to say it's got to be over 50% for sure.
Yep.
So I can look up just like what my opponents have done in just while we're thinking about it.
And then you'll see it even more.
It's a huge percentage in the $15. Like it's huge. If I do CD, and then let's look up Dak. Oh, God damn it. Dak Prescott. It is 30% of CD Lamb teams on my opponents. So it doesn't count for mine. So more than 30% of CD Lamb teams have Dak Prescott on my drafts in the drafters $15. So ratchet that up to 50 plus probably in this tournament. So I think that makes sense.
All right. Yeah. So I think that's totally fair for this tournament. We do see Pollard go. Do you have any interest in doing Dobbs, or would you want another running back here?
No, let's do Dobbs. Let's double stack. This is a great pivot off. This is the perfect pivot, is to double stack Love.
Green Bay.
Right? Yeah. So take your CD. If you're not going to take the chalk Dak stack with your CD, how do you like compound that bet? Is to double down on Jordan Love. And if the 101 takes Jordan Love, he's an asshole, but he shouldn't. He has Jalen Hurts. Right. So, and I mean, the worst case scenario, all right, he snaps Jordan Love from us. We take Dak and suck it up, I guess. But like, you could take Burrow and backstack him with some losers. But I like the adding another Packer there for sure. And then it's kind of what sets up this perfect pivot off of like. So what do we say? Let's just use easy math. 20 of the 30. Let's just use 20 of the 37 teams of CD have Dak. How many have Jordan Love? How many have Jordan Love?
Right. It's gonna be
3.
Yeah.
So then you do. So then, all right. So it's not Dak, but CD is still really good. How do you beat that team? Well, the Packers are also awesome, and their wide receivers were cheaper. So you got Love, and he's outperforming Dak, and then you're also getting these 2 smash wide receivers at cheaper prices. We could use it at wide receiver. We took 3 detours already, right? We took Kyren Williams, we took James Conner, and we took Trey McBride. So we're not like supercharged at wide receiver. I think it's kind of the perfect way to play it in this one.
Yeah, and I like doing these double stacks where it's off of like my 4th and 5th wide receiver like this, where my superstars are the individual wide receivers.
Yeah.
Versus
I do that a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot more fun that way. I think that this is now in a vacuum, there are plenty of players I would have rather have drafted over Dobbs here, right?
Yeah.
Like name any of these running backs for the most part, right? I would have much preferred them, but I think we are building a very solid team, especially when we went Kyren at the one at our our third round pick, getting James Conner. I think our team is just structurally so solid for this
Yep.
tournament right now that I'm a big fan of it.
I'm just gonna share my screen super quick to answer this question. South wants to know, what are your most drafted team exposures? He's got the Bengals and the Broncos, and I have the Minnesota Vikings, the Washington football team / Commanders. Bengals are up there, and Falcons, Giants. This is on Drafters, but it's pretty consistent across all of the sites for me. Heavy on those teams. I can't stop. I just can't stop with Washington. I can't stop it. Like Jaden, they're free. There's like Terry McLaurin's the most expensive Washington guy, then Jaden Daniels in the 90s, and then B-Rob in the 100s. It's like I just can't stop with these guys. They're like starting wide receivers and starting tight ends are like 17th round picks. It's they're gonna play really fast and their defense is gonna give up a lot of points. So I'm drafting a bunch of Washington.
I think Washington. I'm trying to pull mine up real quick. I would assume that Washington's one of mine, but the stack we're doing is another one of mine where I am just absolutely smashing Green Bay stacks as well. So
they're a good one too because you can build so many. It's funny you say that. I listed my top 5. Green Bay is next.
Yeah,
Green Bay's the next.
My top 5 are Kansas City, Green Bay, Denver, Baltimore, Cincinnati, and then Washington is next after that.
Chiefs are first. What a fucking shock!
It's shocking. It's close though. Green Bay's
catching up. Well, the market's not letting you have as many Chiefs as you want anymore. Good Lord. Like, nope. I don't even know how to stack the Chiefs. If you put your brain in a pretzel just trying to, the moment you enter the draft thinking about, all right, I want to stack Mahomes here. It's like, all right, you tell me how the hell are you going to do it unless somebody falls?
For all the mistakes I made this year, I brought this up in the lab the other night, maybe last night. Who knows what day of the week it is anymore. The one thing I did right, whether it ends up working or not, was pounding Chiefs stacks early in draft season. It's the one way that I played tournaments right for sure this off season. So, yeah.
Let me hit some of these. No Cap Mac, that's a sweet name and a sweet Avi that says, I love the Green Bay double stack with Love and best ball. Don't have to guess which week's the wide receiver. I agree, man. I like all the wide receivers. Dobbs is like kind of my least favorite one just because of the weird, awkward, right? He goes next to all those quarterbacks and all the running backs that I love. So I don't really have like a big problem with Dobbs, just that weird quirk. But like, yeah, I mean, they got 5 wide receivers I think are draftable. I don't really take Luke Musgrave, but I'm more into Kraft. But if you prefer, like, they got a bunch of draftable dudes. It's really not hard to stack them. Jordan Love is at a nice price. And like, exactly like you said, I don't know who's going to break out. Like, I don't know that anybody's going to break out. I'm not sure Matt LaFleur gives a shit about he's kind of made that known that they just got a bunch of good football players. But that's good because it keeps their prices in check. And yeah, they're going to have some down games, right? Dobbs is going to have a 2 for 20 game, but you just hope that Christian Watson has the 6 for 101 game when Dobbs has that game. And we flip-flop it around and Jordan Love just has a good season.
I actually have a weird thought that Dobbs might be the most consistent player, that he might be best.
He's going to play the most snaps.
Yeah, for this format, he's probably the best. And I like Watson and Reed for the playoff format stuff.
But I think Reed is just like, if there's a superstar, like if there's a superstar in the group, like we love to wishcast Wicks and he's very good. But like I think Jaden Reed could be like, I know other people have made this comp, but it's like a baby Debo Samuel type thing where we're like, he's a 3rd round pick next year or 2-3 turn pick or something like that next year.
I agree. I mean, again, my exposure to Jaden Reed across all formats is
he's getting cheaper. He's getting cheaper.
And I'm like, I'm not going to stop drafting him. Might as well just keep
exactly.
Might as well keep hitting this. We are on the clock. It is very, very gross.
What's running back look like? Corum. We have Kyron, right? No, he went anyway. Yuck. Wide receiver. Unless you want to take Lawrence.
Do you want to try to backstack something with Lawrence?
Lawrence with Gabe around here.
Let's do it. Let's get weird.
I do this, like, I hate this range so much that maybe this is just me being lazy and defaulting to this, but I really like Lawrence, and I don't necessarily love all of his turn off the auto. Perfect. See, so I like doing that. We need a wide receiver. This range is, we just talked about, this range is disgusting. I like the guys who are going to be available at our next pick just as much as the guys who are available here. And so, okay, what can I do? Like, look, we obviously don't need another quarterback now with Love and Lawrence. I really like Love and Lawrence, like, as a combo. I think that they could both be guys that we're taking higher next year, blah, 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 right? Hopefully ascending offenses. And then it's kind of like Dobbs and Gabe are like the same. Dobbs is better than Gabe, but like the same guy in their offense is like, they're the least sexy player, but they're going to play all the snaps and they're going to have some big games. You know, the better and best ball thing, I think that both of those guys are pretty good fits. Again, like, on this team, structurally, we're so good everywhere else. It really is a nice way to, like, nestle that into your build. And then, like, we got all this freedom the rest of the draft, right? Like, just throw ADP out the window, take the guys that we want at these other positions, get one more tight end, we're good.
Yeah, there was a guy I was going to float, but I actually think he's going to come back to us, so I'm not going to say his name right now. Don't want him to appear.
Mac was helping us out. That was funny. That's good.
The auto draft thing.
I panicked too, Mac. Don't worry.
I'm just that good, is what I would like.
You are. I auto so much. People would be disgusted at the amount of. I autoed CMC this morning in a DraftKings draft, and that's what somebody was like. This whole you're fading CMC this year is just a total bit. You're gonna have like 6% from all the fucking times you autoed him in all these drafts, which is obviously an exaggeration. But yeah, I right now, dude, I got so many drafts left to do. And there's just so little time. Like, we got plans this weekend. So, like, if I'm awake, like, I'm drafting right now. Yeah. And so, like, I'm autoing just people are probably looking at my teams like, people are paying this fucking guy for advice. Like, what is he doing?
Well, I was way behind the pace that I normally would. As you know, I've been traveling a ton for work. So it really affected when I was drafting. So I'm at 105 BBM teams right now, and there's no way I'm going to fill it. So my focus legitimately is, instead of firing the rest of what I want to fire into BBM, it's the Drafters Championship, right? I'd rather take and fire bullets into that tournament and making sure that I get a decent chunk of teams in there to hit the overlay. That tournament, if you cash, you double your money. I think it's like it. At the moment, it's like a 1 in 4 chance of doubling your money if the tournament were to end today. Obviously, we're going to get more teams in there and it's going to be harder, but we're shaving off so many teams, right? And it's going to be so much easier just to min cash. Not that I'm playing to min cash, but you do need to ROI some teams here and there, right? So I just think that the most cost-effective, best place to put your money right now is in that particular tournament. So
it is.
I'm going to do that, and I think I'll fire, instead of firing BBM on Underdog, I'll fire some sprints. Is the other way to play it.
I like that. I was also just going to add, it's also the best, not just like ROI in terms of where you'll likely finish based on how many people are in the tournament, but they're giving away so many free tickets. Like, you hit, what is it? I forget I don't have
for the first one.
I can just read it really quickly. So draft 10 into that, their $15, get a free one. Draft 25, get a free one. Draft 50, get 2 more. So these compound, right? So you get the first one, you get the second one. Now you're up to 4. There's 4 free entries when you draft 50, right? Get to 100, get 3 more. You max the whole thing. They give you another 100 at just $100, cash in your account, plus a t-shirt. Who doesn't love a free t-shirt? But then, like, they'll probably have a promo this weekend. They run a new promo. They run a new promo every weekend. Like, draft last week was like draft 6 teams, get a free one. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you've been taking advantage of any of these promos, you got like 10 plus free teams into this tournament, and it's going to overlay. So it really is like, if people are starved for time and just figuring out where to put their money, I really do believe that that Drafters is my recommendation. And if you haven't played there before, if you haven't signed up, typical shill, use promo code SPIKE. You get $100 free bucks another way, right? So, like, the next thing you know, you've got like 20 of your entries paid off into this tournament without doing anything but drafting. And then you can't get that anywhere else.
That is correct. And I was completely wrong. He ended up
Who did
flying on the
you-
board. Chuba was way down the draft
Ah.
board. There was a chance that we might have been able to get him,
People
I
are getting
thought.
hit. Yeah.
but
Another
incorrect.
great drafters pick.
Yes.
Oh,
I
is
knew
that
you
Dean?
were there.
Oh,
No,
it's
yeah, it
fucking
was.
it's Dean. Okay. Fucking
Charbonnet is the easy selection.
I'm cool with
there
Sharps.
from there.
Yeah, I'm cool with Sharps.
I mean, unless you want to do this Dallas thing with Zeke.
No, absolutely not. No.
So I do like Charbonnet quite a bit. I think he's a little undervalued in a lot of formats.
So we need to have a conversation about this next pick on if we mega reach on the shiny new toy or if we just take one of these other running backs because I don't think he's going to come back.
Yeah, I think we just do it.
Just take him.
I
That's
think
what
we
I've
just
been
take
doing
it.
about here, somewhere about here. Like once Algier, like that, I kind of have Algier, Chandler, Sharps in kind of. So I put this guy ranked ahead of those guys, but like you can kind of get him after that tier usually.
Yeah.
Once those guys go off the board, yeah. So even Ray Davis goes.
So
off the board.
Ray
I would
was
take
gonna
Jordan-
Ray was gonna be my pushback on it a little
yeah,
bit. It
and
was
I
gonna-
would take Jordan Mason now. Yeah. But that's kind of how I'm playing the Mason thing. Is like he's ahead of the. I have him right behind Rico Dowdle in the rankings. To be clear, I understand that's aggressive to other people, but it's I'm intentionally aggressive on these guys to get them up there. Which now I got to re-bury Carson Steele in the rankings because I was aggressive on him for about 12 hours, and now he's dead. But you want to kind of play that ADP game, but like I don't want to get cute on this guy and like be like, oh, I need to get him at pick 170 because that's push it. And it's like all you did was you took I do really like Ray Davis, right? But you took Jalen Wright or let's say you even got him at pick 170. You took Jalen Wright and Jordan Mason, right? To get that 2v2 as opposed to Jordan Mason and like Khalil Herbert. What is the fucking difference? Like there is absolutely no difference. So I'm not playing it cute. I just think he's a smash. And so I'm taking him.
Yeah. I like I said, the one pushback I would have had, I would have wanted to have the conversation about Ray Davis or him.
Yeah.
I think I know you're out on Zeke. I think it is a conversation you can have between those two as well.
It's just we have such a stable start to the season where Mason and Sharps can come in with something happening to their starters, and the next thing we might need that ceiling if something happens to Connor in like week 6 or something that just like treading water with Zeke at that point. Whereas if we like went full blown zero running back or something, like we might have maybe taken Zeke over Sharps or whatever, to give us that floor.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. It is stacking up to be a fun team. Let's run through it real quick. Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence at quarterback, Kyron Williams, James Conner, Zach Charbonnet, Jordan Mason, the Messiah himself on this team, CeeDee Lamb, Malik Neighbors, George Pickens, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, Gabe Davis. I almost said George Davis. Like George Davis. What a Ravenclaw name that would have been. Trey McBride is the team. So we have some Green Bay, some Jacksonville stacks going on. Don't have to worry about a week 17 bring back since it is cumulative scoring. However, I don't mind doing, I was talking about this yesterday on my drafter stream. Instead of doing like week 17 tiebreaker stuff, sometimes I will do divisional tiebreaker. It's very rare, but it's really like if it comes down to I like this guy just as much as this guy. Like if it was Ty Chandler and I don't know, J.K. Dobbins or something, I guess I would be like, maybe I like Ty Chandler a little more to go with the Jordan Love stuff. But it has to come down to that basically for me to even.
Right. You run down the totem pole and you're like, what's the difference? You can use that one as a tiebreak. I think what's more interesting about that is what people would say is, well, they play each other twice, which is true, but it's more so the common opponents where if the NFC North happens to whichever, I really only know the playoff schedules, so I don't know who they all play during the regular season, but they obviously all play different teams based on where they finished the last year, but they all play the same division.
Yep.
Right. So when they're playing that, if that happens to be like the nut run out on, there's like 3 really shitty defenses in that other division, you're getting a bunch of extra games that way. Plus, then obviously they play each other. So like it's kind of that they have very similar schedules. So their opponents, if they happen to run into a luck box, a few years ago when Mark Andrews was the stone cold smash, even though Lamar got hurt at tight end. The Ravens were the team you wanted. Everybody, like you didn't give a shit what offense it was. You wanted to play the Ravens because their whole secondary was out. And so if you happen to run into that with the same division, you can get a small little boost.
We're going to be coming back on the clock here. Again, we have a 2-4-6-1 build at the moment. Very strong foundation. This is like a strong foundational team, is what I will say. Like this
is a house built in the 1800s that's still fucking live and well.
Yep, it is. It is structurally sound. When
everybody likes it,
it will sell.
Even if you prefer newer homes, you're like, oh, this is just a beautiful old home. Everybody loves it.
Is there anyone?
Braylon went.
Oh, did he go?
Yeah, I do like Khalil Herbert, unless you want to look at tight end, but I really like Khalil Herbert, so I'm down.
I like Khalil.
If you are.
I don't mind getting the 5th. I don't know if there's another RB I'm going to want to grab anytime soon.
What's tight end looking like? Yeah.
Tight end is always gross.
Yucky.
I might ask you if you want to compound one of our other team bets here in a second for a 7th wide receiver.
Who the hell are you talking about? How am I missing this?
Well, it's not hard to miss him because he's 4'11". So
I see it. Okay.
So that's probably why he didn't.
I just had to squint. Yeah, I had to squint. Yeah, I'm in. It's a mini bet against Marv.
Right.
And that's a way that us passing on Kyler can work, in that the offense is still functional, but it flows through Connor, Dortch, McBride, and maybe not Marv, which maybe then Kyler's fine, but he's not, we're getting just as much, probably more, from Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence if like something happens to Marv or whatever. It's kind of one of those weird bets where adding that and the offense getting worse can benefit our team in a weird way. There's weird outcomes like that. So I really like that. I think he's a good pick. Also, again, a very good pick on drafters. I'm lukewarm probably on underdog at best, but on drafters, I think, man, just lock me in that stable role with a fairly stable floor for a late round wide receiver in PPR scoring. And
to that point, just to expand on it a little bit, I think we just have uber leverage against every Arizona team now.
Right? And the Dak City teams.
Right. So we leveraged ourselves against those two teams.
Yep.
And it probably gives us a really unique Green Bay team. So I'm actually really enjoying this team. And I think Dortch's, you talk about your on base guys, like you like to bring it up.
He fucking gets on base.
He's going to get on base. He's going to get on base. He's going to hit your lineup a few times throughout the season at minimum. Right. So I think he is the perfect complement to this team. I enjoy it.
Also, if you ask Kyler, if he was 6'4", he'd be Calvin Johnson. Greg Dortch would be.
I mean, I think it got underreported that
everybody just
player was.
We hype so much stupid shit for months and months. Every day, Keon Coleman highlights were like, "This guy's the second coming of Randy Moss" because he caught a 2-yard pass in practice with no pads on, and we had to hear about it for a day. The Bills cut half of the guys who we were told were just about to make the Pro Bowl this season, like Terrell Shavers. Remember the Terrell Shavers week of Terrell Shavers is really crushing it in camp. It's like they cut him in the first 5 minutes of cut day. We got all of that. Greg Dortch's quarterback compared him to Calvin fucking Johnson, and it was so ridiculous that everybody just said, "No, absolutely." Everybody but Davis Maddock was like, "This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard," and just totally scoffed at it. But I do think
well, they're all in Munchkin land, right? All the Cardinals. You got Kyler, you got Dortch.
They got rid of Rondale at least. Swapped out Rondale for Marv, so they at least Marv's got to be just towering over everyone in the huddle. Like
Yeah.
that's just got to be so awkward.
Him and McBride.
Him and McBride looking down, the huddle. He's trying
7-on-7s. It's like, you
he's
guys
like-
don't belong here.
It's like if you ever seen like the college football huddles, and like the quarterbacks are often a lot shorter than the offensive linemen, and nobody huddles anymore. But like if you do huddle, you'll see the offensive linemen because they're trying to go get to the line, and they'll be towering over him, and they listen in, right? Because you got the hole in the side of your helmet. That's what Marv and McBride have to do to get the play from Kyler. They're like leaning over him, leaning down for this 5'9" little shit to try to give him the play.
Amazing. I didn't know we were going to do so much Arizona Cardinals talk, but it's the team.
No, there's no new Call of Duty this year. Melch let us know there's no new Call of Duty this year. So
there's no call. I don't play Call of Duty. Like that's not my game. All my friends do
in a long time. Yeah, but this is good to know. Now I'm gonna go bet Kyler MVP.
He's so mad. He's just losing it.
We got another good one lining up here, but Dean's probably gonna screw us again. Don't do it, Dean.
Oh my God, Dean.
No, I'm that's okay. We got to take Marshawn Lloyd on this team.
Yeah. Talk about the roller coaster my Marshawn Lloyd bags went on this summer is akin to me at Six Flags last Wednesday.
Seriously, the Marshawn Lloyd experiment this summer has been oof. But hey, it ended. You got to the end of the ride and you were smiling. That's all that matters. Your stomach dropped a million times along the way, but you're smiling at the end.
There were some corkscrews, some flips in there. We're real high at one point.
The chick behind you threw up. The chick behind you vomited. But everybody was smiling at the end and laughing.
But as it was just about to touch me, the wind took it back into her own face, and we survived.
And that's the CEH, and she's the CEH drafter.
Yeah.
All right.
Henry Sinnott. Do you want to push tight end?
I don't really like any of these tight ends. Go to wide receiver. I was gonna float Diami.
Diami? I like Diami.
Yeah.
I like Marvin Mims a lot again too.
I'm into both of those guys. Whatever you want is fine.
I'm gonna snag Mims.
That's fine.
I think it's all shaping up for him to at least have a crack this year.
Good run out. Yep.
I think I was still drafting him through the Tim Patrick wars, but
the great Tim Patrick 2 weeks of 2024.
I mean, I honestly think I don't know if you saw this tweet. It probably vanished in the ether, but I think the actual probably thing is the Broncos wide receivers are the shell game, but there's just no ball underneath any of the shells. You're just getting cheated no matter what you do. It's an absolute cheat job. But if there is a ball underneath one of the shells, I think it's Marvin Mims.
Yeah, I agree. I would agree with that.
Other than Cortland Sutton, who I think is fine.
But he's a 9th round pick.
He's Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, he's whatever. If Cortland Sutton was going in the 17th round, sure, yeah, sign me up, of course. Yeah, I think the Tim Patrick thing was great run out.
LOL
for Mims, and hilarious. Just hilarious. Like, we have to be able to, if you don't laugh, like, you'll cry at this time of the year, right?
Yeah.
Like, plenty of my guys got cut. Plenty of my guys went on IR. Like, it is what it is. Like, I know that's like every year at this time, I know I'm going to have some very negative emotions about a handful of guys. That's just the way I play this game. I take on risk with some particularly running back type guys. So you got to be able to laugh at, like, the people who thought you were stupid for drafting Evan Hull or Deneric Prince were so fucking certain that Tim Patrick was not only going to make the team, but a starting wide receiver. And now he's on the practice squad for the Lions. Like, you got to be able to enjoy this time.
The funniest thing about that to me is right before the Tim Patrick stuff happened, I heard multiple shows, like, across different types of fantasy football, mention how the thing that we know every year, when coaches respect a veteran, they will showcase him as much as they can in the preseason to help him try to land somewhere, right? which is exactly what happened with Tim Patrick. And as soon as it ever happens, it's never, oh, they're showcasing him, right? As soon as it happens, it becomes, oh, he's making
a starter.
team. He's a
He's
starter.
a starter.
He's starting. How can he not start? He just
Jahan
ran
Dotson
7 rounds.
happened to Jahan Dotson too, and they traded him, right? They
Yeah.
gave him a shot. If he and I also think like if those guys like truly were like unstoppable, the team would keep him. But like once they put him out there, they've seen him in practice for months, right? They kind of know what they got in this guy. We're just seeing it for the first time. They've seen it for months. And so when they then also, are, like you said, are running with the ones, it's never as simple as it seems either way, right? Sometimes we could take this both ways. It's just never as simple as we try to make it, because we're working with such a lack of information, but we act as if we have so much information, right? Like that we're everybody, how many people do these preseason snap tweets and reports and stuff now? It's crazy. Everybody has all that information. So we act like it's the end all be all, and it can matter, but it's a small nugget in the whole grand scheme of things. And so I think the Tim Patrick thing's important to remember. Deneric Prince summer is important to remember. Like all these things are important to remember, that like we want to react for sure, but we don't want to overreact either.
Also, running with the ones, air quotes on that, is the ones for that particular preseason game, because the quarterback's not even out there. If your quarterback's not out there, I don't care who's on the field. That's not the ones.
Yeah.
That is, you might end up a starter, but it is not your starting offensive unit. And I think that's things we need to like pay attention to somewhat as well. We are coming back up on the clock here with a 2.681 build.
I know this isn't going to go how I hope it.
It's not going to. So don't even.
It's gone well for a few rounds in a row, so there's no way that
there's no way
goes well.
It's a 0% chance. Dean's watching. He's listening.
Yeah, for sure, Dean is watching and listening. That's why he keeps sniping every fucking player that we want.
Yeah, Dean Ami Brown over here.
I'm pretty sure he has the ranks too, so he like knows everything about what we want to do. Like he
he goes.
Okay.
Raymond.
All right, Diami for me.
Diami, and then we will.
So we got 2 left, right? Tight end, obviously, with 1. I think there's somebody lighting up on your screen that makes a ton of sense on this team, especially alongside McBride, is a good fit. Not too worried about the first couple weeks. Let him carve out a role. And then, do you want a 10th wide receiver or 7th running back? Probably. We probably need to see who's available, and we'll have a couple minutes after this pick.
Yeah, let's grab.
I think I'd take the tight end, and then let's siphon through all these fucking future insurance salesmen here in the last round.
I'm going to highlight him because I'm not scared of Shambles, even though the name is perfect for when you
I'm not scared of the guy who literally made his name what he puts you in when you draft against him.
Definitely should have made the username Pretzel or something like that. Shambles is a great name. Great username.
Yes, very, very good username. Before we talk about this, there's a couple questions I just wanted to hit because I realized I didn't hit them, and I apologize to you guys. Where did I? Oh, so first, No Cap Mac asks, just super quick and dirty, reaction to Samaje Perine and Dalvin Cook signings. My reaction to Dalvin Cook signing is LOL, and that's the extent of it. There's nothing to really worry about. He's not even on the active roster right now. He's on the practice squad, and he could not have been more. He's not an NFL football player anymore. So,
but I think it's good. I mean,
it's great for Rico Dowdle.
It's great for us.
Yeah. It's phenomenal for Dowdle. It's good for Zeke. It's very clear now that those are the two guys. He is a break glass in case of emergency. And, we remember that Deuce Vaughn's 150 pounds. So, not worried about him. Perine, I think is going to be, the fat, slow McKinnon kind of this offense. I think he is going to be the guy. We'll see what's up with Carson Steele. I mean, it's a coffin for CEH, like a straight coffin for CEH. And it's probably a coffin for Carson Steele, but I don't think Samaje Perine at this stage of his career, if something were to happen to Pacheco that he could like shoulder that whole load. I think a Carson Steele, or if they can sneak Prince through to the practice squad, or they add somebody else to the practice squad. I think that there's someone else, if something happens to Pacheco, that's going to play. I think it's probably Steele at this point, but they'll like timeshare that backfield, right? Like McKinnon and CEH used to, or whatever. They'll timeshare it. But what I would expect, so long as P. Ryan gets up and running pretty quickly, that it'll be, mostly Pacheco with P. Ryan mixing in on some pass downs because that's what he's good at. So not like a huge deal, but certainly good if you've been drafting P. Ryan, a pretty good run out. And then Pius Devil asks, excuse me, whatever happened to the 555 slot? We just weren't able to get around to it, man. It's a chaotic summer and drafting a million teams, and I just really almost started making my way over to DraftKings. Corain and I did do a 555 recorded draft 2 weeks ago, two or three weeks ago, and then we're waiting on a guest for this week's podcast. It was supposed to be end of last week and just hasn't been able to work out, but I think we're recording tomorrow, and so we'll get a couple more legendary sickos, a bunch more. I got another high roller I'm gonna do, whether or not Rob is with me or somebody else is with me. Rob's got more drafts he's going to do. We talked about the marathon. We're going to try to make sure to get all that. Maybe next year we can get back to the 555 one for sure. I didn't realize that I guess maybe Dean had Purdy, or the one or Shambles had Purdy while we were talking about Jordan Mason.
But I wasn't
South
scared.
asks, no. I've never been put in shambles in a draft before. Anyone putting any entries into the playbook on Underdog? I have no idea what the playbook is.
If that's like a 2025 draft, I'm gonna vomit.
Oh my God.
I'm not saying it is, but like I wouldn't put it past them to have a 2025 draft out already.
Seriously, they're just itching to put out a 2025 tournament. I bet.
They just
Hayden's
want
over there. His fingers hovering over the button. What is
Playbook doesn't allow any elite tight ends.
What is the playbook?
We are on the clock.
Oh fuck! Sorry, we didn't talk about any of this. I think I would just go wide receiver. I mean, Javon Baker is fine. Bo Melton is fine.
We have a lot of Green Bay already.
I know. Parker Washington. Yeah, do Parker Washington. You got to.
Shit. I did not get to it in time. That's fine.
That's okay.
Well,
also, where's our 10th?
Yeah, where did it go? It's Baker.
It's Javon. It's Javon. Yeah, I was about to say, what the fuck? We were playing with 19 people. Everybody else has 20.
Drafters was like, you are not allowed to see a 10th wide receiver. We are not allowing it.
I do just want to shout Parker Washington. He's one of my last round guys that I'm taking at a fairly good clip right now. He's very clearly the wide receiver 4 on Jacksonville, but I think he's pretty good. I think if anything happens to any of those guys, we obviously do not have Christian Kirk on this team. And he was like dominating targets in the preseason and in camp was supposedly awesome. And all of the Dynasty Bros and stuff that I follow, shout out to Cody Carpentier he works for a couple different sites. He traveled around to a bunch of training camps and it's stuck with me ever since he tweeted this. Like he tweeted a nice long, like his takeaways from Jags camp, but he just had one line. He said, Parker Washington 2025. And so he's, basically saying once Christian Kirk is out of here, Parker Washington's going to be like a stud. And obviously Christian Kirk is still here. But when I see that, I always think like, yeah, but like A, if Christian Kirk gets hurt, we're going to get Parker Washington 2024. And B, like, if you think he's that good already, what's to stop him from, coming through partway through this season? So I like some of those guys, right? The Bo Meltons and the Parker Washingtons and I drafted John Mechie for the first time today. Like the guys who, they clearly need an injury, but they're in a situation where if they get that injury, this is not a last round pick.
Gotcha. Yeah, I do think that's our one mistake on this team was me not being fast enough to get Parker Washington.
I mean, if Javon Baker versus Parker Washington sinks us on this team, we were fucked to begin with.
Yeah, we were already toasted. Yeah. Let's go over the team before we get out of here. We went with Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence at quarterback. Running backs are Kyron, James Conner, Zach Charbonnet, Jordan Mason, Khalil Herbert, Marshawn Lloyd. Fun running back room overall. Wide receiver is CeeDee, Malik, George Pickens, Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, why am I doing George Davis? Gabe Davis, Greg Dortch, Marvin Mims, De'Ami Brown, Javon Baker. Tight ends are Trey McBride and Tucker Kraft. Huge Green Bay onslaught. Got a Trevor Lawrence skinny. I like this team quite a bit. I think this is going to be all we need is Green Bay, baby. And then we just got all the pieces around it. And we are going to, I loved Green Bay this year. It is one of my favorite ways to play almost every single best ball tournament. So I'm glad we got a Green Bay stack in here. Yeah.
And I love the way that we did it around the, manipulating the CD thing, manipulating the Kyron and the Cardinals thing. I think it was really like there's plenty of things I do that are not the most well thought out or the sharpest. I think this one was a pretty good one. So yeah, super excited for this team until Javon Baker does nothing and Parker Washington makes the Pro Bowl. Just quickly, any takeaways from this year's preseason? Like, do you think it was unique? No, I don't really think so. I mean, there's always like a sprinkle of anarchy with us, Samaje Perine, but like that happens every single year. Nobody really got hurt. Like substantial, which is nice. We've had a lot of years of, I guess it didn't really happen last year either, but we've had a lot of years in best ball of Cam Akers tears an Achilles, J.K. Dobbins blows out his knee, Gus Edwards blows out his knee, then Justice Hill blows out like that the Ravens.
Wild.
That was absolutely insane. I remember rushing to draft Justice Hill because it was like, on the same day or back-to-back days, Dobbins and Gus tore their ACLs. And so you're like, oh my God, Justice Hill was the best pick of all time, right? Undrafted all summer, blah, blah, blah. And I'm rushing to draft him. And then now he's down. And you're like, what the hell?
And their corner too. It wasn't, I don't even, you mean, it's not
Peters, Marcus Peters.
It was Marcus Peters blew his knee out the same day as I think Gus. I can't remember for sure. It was one of them. And you're just like, dude, what is going on at that practice?
It's crazy. And then remember Tyson Williams? Yeah. Tyson Williams was their rookie out of BYU that then we were rushing to draft him. And he started week 1. He got benched. And it was never to be heard from again. He's never played an NFL snap since then. And like just total chaos. So in terms of was this year unique? Any takeaways? Honestly, no. I think keep doing what we're doing and trying to get out ahead of some of these things. Sometimes you hit on Jordan Mason and Yoshi and whoever. And sometimes you whiff, but I think this year is pretty par for the course. This I just gotta shout this one. No, I can't wait for Best Ball Resurrection next Thursday at 8:30. It's gonna kick. Week 1's gonna kick off, and we're probably gonna have a new tournament. I agree. Thank you guys for joining us. A ton of fun. And as I mentioned, we'll be back. We'll post the schedule in Discord, and we'll let you guys know when we're coming with more of these shows. If you're hanging out the rest of this afternoon, I'm going on the Fantasy Sanctuary with Tom Strachan. Shout out to our buddies from over across the pond, and we're going to draft a DraftKings team. It's his last DraftKings stream of the year, and so I'm going to go join him for that in about 50 minutes.
I made Tom do a voiceover for me for Hometown Ghost Stories that aired on the week of 4th of July, which felt like I was rubbing salt in the wound. I'm sure he doesn't care, but it felt very... especially since he gets called a red coat every other day. As he was sending it over, you're like, oh my God, this is our 4th of July episode. So that's great.
That is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah. Anyways, that's gonna do it, guys. We will see you maybe tomorrow for another drafts. Definitely Saturday for the marathon stream. That's gonna start at noon. Maybe I can get Eric on for at least an hour of that so that I don't, go absolutely insane. We'll catch you later. Peace. Ooh, those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? You turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.